around for a week, and I feel like our friend group's turned into a ghost town. What happened? I go on a trip, a work trip for 1 week, and I come back, and nobody wants to play League. Nobody wants to play World of Warcraft. Like, what's going on, man? Like, I don't understand. I am highly confused by what's going on.
So me personally, I've been in class. So I have school. I'm taking accelerated classes. So I literally have no time to actually jump. I have like maybe 2 hours to play a video game, and then that's about it. And I'm studying the rest of the night. So that's why I haven't been in chat. I thought y'all were still doing your thing. I mean, I know you're on vacation, but I mean, this happens every time you go on vacation.
I wasn't on vacation. I was on a work trip. I was out of town,
okay.
like, straight up. Okay. I was not available to play, really.
Yeah. So I mean, this happens usually all the time when you go out of town, but yeah. I mean, I tried.
What am I the glue that holds the group together? I hate this. I hate it. I hate this. I hate it when this happens.
I don't think so. I just think this was a perfect storm. Like, obviously you
because Jet has been AWOL apparently as well. Like, work has been killing him, like murdering him too, I guess. Like, he's been doing a ton of overnights. Brad's been Brad, and Andy has apparently decided to solo queue League to the point of burnout where he like doesn't want to play League anymore. Like, he's like afraid to play League. Solo queued? Yeah, bro. He was solo queuing League, and he said, "Man, I can't do it right now. My mental's broken." And I'm like, why are you solo queuing League when none of us are around, man? So you play by yourself to the point that you don't want to play when we're back. Like, that is so backwards to me. Just don't play League when we're not here. I don't understand.
Yeah, I actually haven't touched League in about what week is this?
I don't know. Third week of February, second week of February.
Yeah. I don't think I touched League since January 15th. I think that was the last time I touched League.
I'm just like, yeah, and it's bumming me out. I come back, like, I'm off all week. Like, I come back on Saturday, and I am on vacation this week right now. We're in now. I come back and I'm fucking amped, man. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna play fucking League. We're gonna play some World of Warcraft, and like, dude, nobody's doing anything. Like,
I saw Brad in there yesterday.
Yeah, man, he's fucking playing. Him and Hunter are playing this stupid StarCraft 2 fucking custom game, whatever nonsense. I don't even know what they're playing. It's some official mode Blizzard made up. And like, Brad's like, he's still not caught up to us, Montrell. Like, it has been almost a month since me, Brian, and Jet stopped playing those World of Warcraft characters, and he is still not caught up to us. Like, it is.
At least I have an excuse, man. I'm legitimately trying to better my life.
You do. I don't have you do. I don't have a problem with what you're doing. I understand. I just didn't realize how much time it was taking up until you gave me the rundown before the show. But no, it just feels like the whole group's like falling apart. Like, I come back and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna play Prince of Persia all week. I guess, like, I don't know, it's like this. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm just annoyed because Brian's gone too. Like, he was on the same work trip with me, and he had another trip this week that he's on. He's coming back tomorrow, and then he's going on another trip in a week.
Jesus,
from Friday. Wow. Yeah, they're fucking, dude. Seriously, I was advocating for them not to send him to the one this week, to actually give him a break of some sort, but no, it didn't happen. So, but yeah, so Brian's kind of AWOL as well, and I'll get into what I've been playing later, talking about him, but yeah, like, dude, it's like, I don't know, it's just a perfect storm. It just feels like maybe it's a bad month, and maybe in March we'll all be back and everything will be back to normal again, mostly. But
yeah, I finished my classes in about 3 weeks, so I should be back at least for 2 weeks, and then I'm gonna be right back into the shit again. But yeah, this month has just been crazy, Brian. I'll be honest with you, even with work, it's just been crazy. So
well, we played League Tuesday too, and it didn't go very well. So wow. I don't know. We'll get back. I'll get into it when we get into what we're playing. I'm like, man, this happens every time I take a vacation. Is like, I feel like everybody disappears when I'm off. Like, I don't understand it. I'm ready to go. I want to play games. I want to fucking, and like, nobody wants to play shit with me. It's
which is funny because there was a legitimate time where you weren't getting in Discord, and it was just me, Brad, and Jet playing games all the time. So I don't know. I don't think it's you. I just think right now it's just a perfect storm. Like, this is just crazy. So I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I
Like
guess I should
it,
just embrace the single playerness of video games right now.
I
I
mean, that's
guess.
what I've been doing. I actually been
Yeah.
loving it. But I mean, it was so bad. Like not bad, but I was studying so much that I legitimately was studying on Super Bowl Sunday and missed the entire Super Bowl. I didn't watch it.
Well, okay, I put it in here as an icebreaker. I mean, you didn't miss much. It was a bad game. Like it was not a good football game, and I mean, it got worse by the fact that the Chiefs ended up winning, and you know, we have to deal with them. But of course, there was a shooter at their fucking parade.
Yeah, like what the fuck was that about?
Yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
yesterday. And so it's like we can't even like it's just I don't even I think they caught the guy. I don't have
it
any
was
idea.
two
I
of them.
didn't
They caught both of them.
fucking
The crowd actually got the second one. They beat him
yeah.
up.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I know. I saw the video of somebody like tackling one of them, and
yeah,
it's just like, man, like, what is going on? What is going on right now? Like, we can't even have a fucking victory parade without somebody shooting it up. Like, that's crazy, man. Like, it's just, I don't know. World's crazy right now. Um, you know, that notwithstanding, I don't like the Chiefs. I'm tired of the Chiefs. They are the new Patriots, and yeah, we're all here for it. I mean, Mahomes is literally only 28, so get ready for another like 13 fucking years of this shit. Um, Going forward, if you didn't like the Chiefs, well, get used to it because they're gonna be around for a while. Um, so yeah, it's been I don't know, things are fun. It's been a fun week. I've actually I've been trying to do things around my house, and I had gotten myself so far behind on organizing my Magic stuff, like my Magic collection and my decks, and making some modifications to them. That dude, I've pretty much been doing that all week. I have worked on it every day this week for about at least 4 hours, probably every day since Monday, and
yeah,
I'm not even close to done. Like I still have so much to do, dude. Like, so that's kind of what I've been doing. Actually, I have not been playing as much as I probably would have, in theory, would have liked to this week, but that's what I've been working on. I still got some things to do around other things to do around the house that I need to do as well beyond that. So it's like that's kind of what my vacation's turned into, is just like doing personal things that I need to take care of, that I've needed to take care of for a while, and kind of just let them um, build up. So yeah, that's been my week, I guess. And yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
um, what about you, Montrell? Besides the school and everything else going well?
Um, it's been a crazy week, couple weeks, man.
Mhm.
We went on vacation to. I think I said it in the last podcast, or in the last episode. We went to the cabins, Broken Bow
Mhm.
cabins and stuff like that for my birthday. It was really nice out there. I don't know if I talked about it last week or week before last with you guys. I'm not sure. We got back and a situation happened, and now my mother in law is staying with us right now. Uh, so we're dealing with that.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, now we're dealing with that, and yeah. I mean, we're both in class and stuff like that. Or yeah, we're pretty much she's in class, so she's in training. Because she's trying to eventually get her own studio and everything like that. My wife is, and I'm trying to get my CCNA, and yeah, it's just a lot, man. It's a lot of changing going on, and we're both like going back to the gym. So I'm waking up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and shit, and working out, and going to the gym. I do recommend people go to the YMCA or the Y, as their gym if it's close to you. Very good. At least the one by me is very good. I like it a lot.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it's mad underrated. Because everyone goes to, like, LA Fitness, Planet Fitness.
Mm.
When the Y is like, you get a good bang for your buck going to the
How much does
Y.
it
So
cost for the Y?
30 for me and her, it's $60 a month for two
Okay.
people. Yeah,
But if it was
but
individual, would it only be 30 or
it'll only be 30. Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit less actually.
okay.
But yeah,
Huh.
they also go by, um, which this won't apply to me or you, but if you're like less, if you don't have the income, they'll go by your income and you'll get lesser prices and stuff like that.
Mm.
But you can also go to any Y throughout the entire country. So I think
Huh.
it's a good deal. Um,
Never really thought about it because there's one literally like 2 minutes from my house.
yeah, I
Not
mean,
even actually.
I say
Yeah.
check it out, see if it's good. If so, apply for it. I mean, and they got classes you can join for free. So,
No.
um, yeah, I think it's really cool. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I think last time I was on, I was talking about like I don't know, maybe buying a treadmill or something like that. But yeah, that Y is really close to me. I never really thought about that. It's yeah, I mean, it is literally 2 minutes from my house. Um, Driving. So I don't know. I might look into it. It's not a bad idea. I never
yeah,
even. You're right because yeah, I don't even think about the Y. Like the YMCA
exactly.
is like you don't even think about it, but it is a fitness. Like that is one of the things they offer you is basically like a gym
Yeah,
essentially.
and like I
Um,
said, and if you're trying to do other stuff, they have also have classes for other stuff that's like completely free, or within your membership or whatever. And then you can pay extra if you want like a fitness trainer or whatever the fuck you're trying to do.
mm,
Like for us, we get two fitness sessions a year with the fitness trainer, so they can like
mm,
come in there and kind of see what you're doing and kind of help you out. And then if you want to do more, you can. But I do recommend people do it. Why? I mean, majority of the time, it's not even crowded in there. Um, and yeah, I think it's a mad underrated place. Like we all forgot about it, and yeah, one's literally like like 1 minute up the street driving distance. Like it's around the corner. I can walk to it in 10 minutes. So that's how far
yeah,
it is away from me. So
yeah. It's probably about the same for me. Yeah, it'd probably be a 5 to 10 minute walk if I walk from my house.
yeah,
Um, But yeah, I think most people just view the YMCA as like almost like a youth center, which I mean it is.
yeah,
I
it
when I
is.
was younger, I there were 2 summers when I was younger where my parents took me to the Y basically. During the summer that I wasn't old enough yet to stay in the house by myself.
Hmm.
So this was like I want to say between 5th and 6th grade, and then 6th and 7th grade. I want to say
Okay.
those 2 summers, and yeah, I was there every day, and they would do like I don't know if I'm sure they still do some of this stuff, but they would do activities. There would be activities in the actual YMCA, and then there were sometimes though we would go like on a trip, like a almost like a field trip basically somewhere, and do all sorts of stuff where they would do like you could do like fucking archery, fucking water polo, all sorts of weird shit if you wanted to, like whatever activities you wanted to do. They did arts and crafts too, which was pretty cool. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just never think about it though. It's like, but yeah, I went there to vote because that's where our closest voting center is
Hmm.
for voting. And I walked in there and I was like, dude, they had just lines of treadmills, and I'm like, oh yeah, dude, like this is a gym, Like I always you literally forget that, but yeah, it is a gym. You can just come here and use that stuff. So yeah, it's an interesting thought. I might look into it for
Yeah,
sure.
I definitely recommend it.
But all right, Montrell, let us get into the show proper here and get going. So, hi everybody, welcome to the Players Take. This is episode 259. I'm your host Justin DeSimone, joined as always by my co-host Montrell Rice. We post for those of you who haven't listened before. This is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And man, it's been a couple weeks, Montreal. I fucked that up a little bit, but I got into it. I got right into it. I do want to say thank you for covering last week as well. I did listen to the episode. You did a great job,
No, thank you.
as usual. So I appreciate that, man. I needed that. Honestly, it's kind of I probably I may have been able to record, but I'm glad I didn't because I was the next day I worked basically 16 hours. So
Oh my god.
that would have been a bad probably a bad idea. So yeah. But one other thing before we get into the rest of the show too, this is just kind of like I don't know, an announcement or what have you. So I just wanted to mention this. We don't need to get into this deeply, but the Suikoden creator Yoshitaka Murayama has passed away this week. This was actually very unexpected and sad news to hear because their game, his studio's game, Aiden Chronicles 100 Heroes, is coming out in 2 months. So this was really sad timing to hear, but I don't have any kind of special story or anything or connection with his games with Suikoden or anything like that, but I did want to mention it. Montreal, anything? What about you? You've ever played the Suikoden games?
Yeah, I did, and I was actually quite sad to see that he passed away. I didn't know that he was having other games come out in a couple of months, so that's definitely sad. He didn't get to see his creations, come out and be enjoyed by other people. And it's always sad when somebody like that, like a legend who creates like an iconic series passes away.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't really know what to
Yeah.
say. I'm super sad, and prayers out to his family.
Yep, and good luck to the team too working on that game. They have to finish it without him at this point, which I mean it probably is mostly finished now, but they have to move forward though beyond that game as well. So yeah, good luck to them. Thoughts and prayers, of course. Um, all right, Montreal, let's get into the show proper here. And talk about games we've been playing. It sounds like you haven't been playing a whole lot, but then I see what you've got listed there, and I mean you're putting some time in. You beat a game here recently.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I played Fantasy Relinked, Granblue Fantasy Relinked
Yeah,
rather.
talk to me about this game. Okay, I bought
Okay,
it.
so I think a lot of people. I'm interested to see what you think of it when you play the game.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are mislabeling the game. So one of my friends, Tori, he told me to play the game because if you like Monster Hunter, you'll like this game. That is not true. I like this game a lot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nothing like Monster Hunter though at all. Um, you do get different characters and everything of that nature. You can unlock different characters. You do the story missions, which is like its own main thing, and then you
Hmm.
can actually do like go up to the quest counter like a Monster Hunter, and you can do quests with multiplayer or just with your regular NPCs or whatever the case. You don't even have to,
Hmm.
do that or whatever. So I just did the main story. The main story is pretty decent. It's pretty straightforward. It's not as long as Tales of Arise. But one thing I did appreciate about it is that the story was just the story. Like they knew what they wanted. They executed on that plan, and that was it. Like there was
Hmm.
no, oh, we're gonna give you a twist to it or whatever. It was like
Hmm.
this, ABC, and that was it. And I actually really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm in school or whatever, I actually just appreciate a really straightforward story, anime story. It was pretty cool. The characters, they they're on screen. They're presented like they were already a team before, and they were. So you get that vibe, like we already know, like, hey, remember that one time back in Valeria, blah blah blah. And I know Valeria's like probably a fucking Game of Thrones reference. Something I don't know where I got that word
Hmm.
from. But yeah, they talk like that to each other. You have a main party of six that you start out with, six characters, which is Grand, or they call him Captain, or you can rename him to your name. And you can choose between female version or the male version of him. You get Lyria, where she's like a side character, but she's the main character, but she's a side character. And you get Reckham, you get and four other characters, six other characters, or four other characters. And they all have their own different move sets. They all have and everything of that nature, and
Hmm.
different mechanics about them and everything. So I'm not going to explain each one. And then you can unlock characters. Uh, and the unlocked characters are kind of awkward because they do talk to the party, like in just banter. But like in the main quest, if you have them in your party in the main quest and like the cutscene shows, they're not there. It is so weird sometimes. Uh,
So they're just like extra auxiliary characters, literally. Like
ex-
they're not. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I did think is interesting is if you want to learn more about the characters' backgrounds and how they got to where they are today, there is at the quest counter something called I think it's called it's pretty much like a side quest thing, but uh it's not really a quest or gameplay. You can listen. They have text on the screen, and then the character themselves will read the text on the screen in their voice actor or whatever, and like
Hmm.
I arrived here and this and that, and I saw Gran. I said, "Hey, Gran," and blah 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 blah. So they'll do that, and they'll explain it And that's a mission. You'll get like some kind of reward, where there be like a stat buff or something like that at the end of each mission or whatever. At the end of each, like they call it missions, but at the end of each story or whatever, and they'll do that all the way up until like you can catch up. So it's like 11 chapters for each one,
Mm.
for
Mm-hmm.
each character, and they give you backstory on the character if you're really interested in the character. They put a lot of effort into it. It's all voice acted. I think the voice acting in the English dub is actually really good. I
Mm-hmm.
don't mind it and everything of that nature. So the post game is interesting because the mission structure reminds me of Neo 2.
Mm.
A lot of people don't understand that when I say that. Like, you can go to certain areas and then they'll be rearranged for the mission, just like Neo 2. So sometimes Neo 2 may have you like, oh, kill 20 goblins or whatever the fuck, and that would be the mission. And that's the same way it is in uh, Granblue. Like, they're like, kill 20 goblins, or defend 2 points or whatever the case may be, against two waves or something like that, or you have to fight a big boss or something of that nature. And that's where the Neo 2 aspect of the mission structure comes into play, for
Mm-hmm.
me at least. So I'm interested to see how you would feel about it, because it reminded me of Neo 2. It didn't remind me of Monster Hunter at all. Um
Gotcha. Okay.
so
So is that in
yeah,
the
I
mission structure though? Like, what about the gameplay? Like the moment to moment like combat?
The moment to moment combat reminds me a lot of Tails. But I will say Tails has a little bit more nuance to it. You can
Mm-hmm.
put more skills on the screen. They do have where you can have four skills. You have your regular, your light attack, your heavy attack. You can jump and do heavy attacks. You can usually charge your heavy attack and everything of that nature, and give you different combos within those combinations. And then you can hold R2, and then it swaps to your skills, and you can incorporate your skills into your combos or uh whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's okay. I think Tails does it a little bit better. Tails of Arise is better, just because they've been out better. So you can, like, for instance, you can't do skills in the air in Grand Blue. I mean, it sounds
Mm.
crazy, but it works. But you can't do them in the air. Like, whereas Tails of Arise, you can do skills in the air and everything of that nature. So um, I think the combo system is okay. I think it is his first game. I just think the presentation and everything of the game uh is really good. You
Yeah,
don't go into another battle screen or anything like that. Everything is just like the characters are on screen. And that's where like the
that's good.
Neo that's where like the Neo 2 aspect comes to, or a Neo
Well, that's what
aspect
we
comes
want
to.
Tails to be, right?
Yeah,
Going
yeah.
forward. Yeah.
And like, it is like a level based game. So I think of it chapters as levels, and then you go back to the main town, and then you go back out and you do
Gotcha.
the
But
levels
they're
again.
like, are they so how large are these levels are we talking? Are they like kind of like semi open areas, or are they more like Neo where they're kind of really tight, linear?
Really tight linear levels. Yeah.
Really? Okay. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
They may have areas where it seems like it's super open, but it's not actually that open. It's a linear core. It's like a linear place. You can
Okay.
find little hidden objects here and there, but it's linear. There's
Yeah.
only one area, and it's the desert area where it's open, like an open type thing where you have different objectives to do in that
Yeah.
area. But that was the only spot.
Gotcha.
Everything else was linear, in my
Okay.
opinion. Yeah, yeah. It's not in my opinion. It was linear. It was linear. Um.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, I found that interesting too. I treat the characters as different weapons. So this is why I say it's like Neo. I treat the characters as different weapons
Hmm.
and weapon classes in Neo. And you learn that character, you master that character, you can move on to the next one. Each character does have his or own set element or whatever. So you would have to swap out characters and play different characters for different situations based on their elements and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and how they synergize, um, and all that good stuff. So I don't know. I think it's a bit of nuance, but I think it's a really cool game. It definitely has potential uh to be better. I give it like an 8 out of 10 for me
Hmm.
personally. Uh
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
So that
a straightforward experience. I mean, I liked it.
I'm glad I talked to you about it then, because yeah, I was starting to get a little nervous. Most of the stuff I've heard about this game has been pretty negative. Like a lot of people are saying it's not that good. So I don't know. once I'm done with Prince of Persia, I'm gonna give this a go for sure. And
Yeah, I I would say if you went into it thinking you're gonna get like a Final Fantasy type experience or something like that, it's not that type of experience. It's more of a straightforward experience. I don't think it's worth $70. I paid $70 for it. I don't think it's worth $70. But I mean, it's a
I think
quality
it's
game
60
though.
actually.
Oh, it's 60. Okay, I paid
Yeah,
60 then.
they're not charging total full price for it.
Yeah. So I think it's still a quality experience, and like I said, the multiplayer adds a little bit more longevity to it. I'm not really gonna be playing the multiplayer of the game, unfortunately. I think it's better with a group of people that you know instead of randos. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I give it a 8, a solid 8. I don't think it's bad. I don't. There's nothing particularly like I hate about it.
Mhm.
I do think it's a little bit too short.
Yeah,
Um, the main quest is, but I think the longevity, like I said, was targeted around uh the multiplayer, because even like Neo, right? You get all these little items and everything
hmm
like that. You just get a lot of little loot to upgrade your items, and you don't weapons don't drop. You craft weapons and then you upgrade the weapons or whatever. So you have all these little items that are constantly dropping and stuff like that. So it to
okay.
me, it just gave me animated Neo vibes, but not like the Dark Souls esque that people think like
Well,
Neo is. It
yeah,
doesn't do that. Yeah.
yeah, because I heard the game was really easy. Actually, is that true?
Yeah, yeah, it's super easy. I had it on hard difficulty. They do have harder difficulties once you beat the harder difficulty. But I didn't try that. So
Okay, so even
yeah.
on hard, it was like kind of brain dead easy.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like, you know what, this is my one major criticism of it. Uh there's a lot of flash and lights and like
Yeah,
effects on screen,
yeah,
and there are certain bosses that you need to read attacks from, and I can't. There are certain sometimes you're fighting two of them at the same time, and it's almost damn near impossible to read everything on screen because of all the major effects that are going on. Like it looks
particle
beautiful,
effects
but
and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, it looks beautiful, but like I can't. It was certain parts I couldn't keep up, you know. So
gotcha.
that's my major criticism of it. So
Okay. Is that all you've been playing?
no, I've also been playing Helldivers, and
Yeah.
man, I love this game. I love it, bro. Have you ever watched Starship Troopers?
Yes. No, I haven't watched it, but I know that that's what this universe is kind of trying to be.
Yeah, I love Starship Troopers. So, um, the corniness of like the satire of like democracy and you have to fight the bugs and they're trying to take away our freedom. I like that corny shit. Like it's so fucking funny to me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but not only that, but the game itself is just really fucking fun, bro. Like
Yeah.
it's it's a really fun game. I've been playing with randos. I haven't been playing with anybody. I'm just having the
Okay.
time of my life.
Okay.
I can only imagine. That's why I've been trying to get people to play it, because I can only imagine how much fun it would be with people I actually know. Um, yeah, it's just so much fun. Like you fight bugs, and then on the other side, you fight on the other side of the galaxy, you fight these robots or something like that. I don't know if you
Hmm.
created the robots and they just went AWOL or something. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you have a galaxy map, and the whole community is like fighting. Like you don't see them on the map, but you can see like the progress, and you're like, oh, the Helldivers have taken over this sector or whatever the case may be. Like for instance, right? So this is my major criticism of it. I don't like that there's not an offline mode. I fucking hate it.
Mm.
I know the first one was like online only as well, I believe.
Wait. So
This
can you
game,
not play by yourself?
you can play missions by yourself. I don't recommend it at
Okay.
all. You can definitely drop by yourself. Um,
Wait. So there's no
uh,
like AI partners though. It's just
no,
you.
it's just you. Yeah,
Oh no. Oh
yeah.
yikes. Okay. Yeah. Oh man.
Uh,
That's
so
brutal.
so so this is where my major criticisms come from, right? So the first week, the servers were absolute fucking shit. I was complaining about it on Twitter. I was just like, this is insane that this is a Sony first party game and the servers are absolute fucking shit. The quick play was not working, because you can do quick play and like join other Helldivers missions, because that's what the game is structured around. It's
Mhm.
structured around you can throw an SOS beacon, and then Helldivers can immediately jump in, and other players can immediately jump in and work with you. So the first week, terrible experience with the game. Even with the terrible experience, Justin, I still enjoyed the fucking game. That's how good this game is to me.
Yeah.
It's just it's PVE, and you have missions. You have missions, and you do certain little missions, and then you drop, and then you bug out, and I love it. It's no bullshit. Uh, I don't know, man. It almost to me it captured the spark of like the horde modes that were in like older 360 games and PS3 games and shit like that, where they just had horde mode for fun. And yeah, like you run around the map, you get a big map to go to, and you have objectives on the map. Or sometimes you may drop into a zone where you just have to defend one part or whatever. And
Mhm.
you get to do orbital strikes. You get different various versions of orbital strikes that drop down. You'll see your ship overhead hovering over you, and you'll see the stuff dropping down on the actual bugs or robots. You can call in like supplies, and then they'll drop down and everything like that. It's just really fucking cool. A really cool game, really fun. Uh, the graphics is really cool. The sound effects is really cool. The explosions, it's friendly fire, so sometimes you may hit like your people on. And the community is actually really nice. Like no one kicks you or anything like that, because we all understand like shit can get hectic, and I may throw a grenade, and the grenade may land on you, and I may blow you up. But then I can just respawn you back in because you get like 20 respawns or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh my god.
so it's just pure chaos, and I love it. And I also like the developer said like we're never doing PvP, we're doing PvE for this game, and I love
Mhm.
that. I love that you just so now that the servers are actually working, it took them a week to get it to work, but the servers are actually working now, and now I can say uh I never drop in alone. Like people instantly join my game. Uh when I'm in the ship, you can name your ship or whatever, and then you can see other ships like kind of jump FTL to you or faster
Yeah.
than light travel to you, and
Yeah.
you'll hear them like doo doo doo, and then they'll come into your ship and like Helldivers joining your ship, and then you'll when you before you do your mission, you can set up your mission or whatever, and then you see yourselves get into the drop pods and then drop down to the planet and shit. I mean, they use it as kind of like a loading screen, but it's still fucking cool every time you see it. Like it never gets fucking old. Um, I don't know, man. Like the music is good. Like they just set the whole mood up. They really took like the Starship Troopers theme and like the Halo theme. It's like they just had a fucking baby, and this is the game. Um, it's really cool, and it's
Yeah.
third person, so it's just really cool. It's a really cool game. Like I
Yeah.
was not expecting this game to be this good. Like I was not expecting to like this game as much as I like it. This is like one of my main games I'm playing, to be honest with you, because it's just so much fucking fun. Like
That's
it's so
amazing.
fun.
I love
Yeah,
that.
man.
That's awesome. I mean, look, man, I'm not like against this game at all. The problem for me with this game was, and will probably continue to be, is like this is a multiplayer game, obviously,
Mhm.
and getting our group to play anything is fucking become like pulling teeth at this point.
Yeah,
So I don't know, like and I'm also broke this month. I've exceeded my play budget for the month. I did
I
that
got
very
you. Yeah.
early in the month. So,
This is only $30 though. This is 30 to $40.
yeah, I know, but my budget's been exceeded, Montreal. So I can buy the game. I'm not saying I can't. Like I have money in reserve. I could buy the game. I just don't want to dip into that right now.
Gotcha. I understand. Totally
Um,
understand.
so if I'm gonna buy this, I don't know. It will probably be early next month. I mean, like, do you think you'll still be playing it at that point?
Oh
Because
yeah,
I'd be down to
100%. I'll still be playing.
okay,
Um,
because I'll be down to try it for sure. And Andy said he got it, I think too. So I think
it is cross plat, so you can play it on
yes,
PC and PlayStation. So
yes. Did you get it on PlayStation or
I got it on PlayStation. Yeah.
okay? I'll probably get it there to be honest with you. I'm not like this isn't like a hardcore fucking shooter, dude. Like I don't have to play this on PC, so and I'd actually prefer to actually get trophies for it if I am gonna play it. So I don't know. I may check it out. I'm just like I'm just kind of over my skis right now in terms of the budgeting. Um so yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds fun. I have actually watched some videos. I was watching Summit's been playing it with Shroud and Their stream was pretty funny. Summit kept killing everybody on his team accidentally, and it was pretty funny actually.
Yeah.
He killed Shroud like 4 times, and Shroud was like, "Well, Summit killed me. I don't know how, but he killed me." You know,
Yeah, I mean, and that's gonna happen. Like it's just a thing, and I can only imagine with our friend group. Like I'm
because it
fucking
tells you who kills you when you
yeah.
die. Like if one of your teammates does it, it does say who did it. So
I was playing it. I was like, I could imagine
yeah.
Brad and Jet playing it, and then Brad kills Jet, or Jet forgot, like kills Brad, and Brad just goes
Oh
fucking
my
ballistic.
god.
You just
Yeah.
dropped a fucking nuke on me, bro. What the fuck? Like, yeah, man. I don't know. This game is just like pure fun, and I actually absolutely love it. And it was only $40 for me. It was only $40.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I can't. This is the rare time I would like recommend an online only game. Like I know I don't really do that. I wish this game was like had an offline mode,
Yeah.
but if you guys just like pure multiplayer game, or not pure multiplayer, like pure just fun, like turn off brain, shoot things, unlock some stuff, turn off brain, go back down, shoot things. Like this is the game for you. Like because that's
Yeah.
actually what I've been looking for. Because like I don't want anything too complicated. And I mean, Final Fantasy is about to come out next week, so
2 weeks.
I 2 weeks. So I don't really want anything too complicated right now. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect game. Even I feel like even after Final Fantasy comes out, I will still be playing this game. Like that's how good this
Okay.
game is. You
Okay.
know.
I mean, dude, if I don't,
I'm not pressuring
I
anybody to
didn't
buy it because I'm
expect.
still
I'm not that surprised. Like the first game, from everything I heard, was really fucking good. It's a completely different genre of game, obviously, but
yeah, twin stick shooter.
this did not seem like a slouch of a studio. From what I could understand in terms of like looking at their last game, how it played, how people received it, and everything. It's just that they made a game in a genre that's not like super popular. So this Switch, it seems like people were kind of anticipating this game because it broke Sony's concurrent record on PC on Steam the weekend it came out. So it's doing pretty well for them. I mean, obviously, we don't know how much is sold or anything yet or anything like that. They haven't announced anything, but there's definitely been a lot of buzz around this game, and they're getting streamers to play it. Like that's kind of a big deal too. That is not a small thing. So I don't know. It seems like this game's doing pretty well, but
Yeah,
um, and if they continue to support it, that would be fun. I mean, might be cool to have this, around as like a, one of the games we play, because that's the problem for us is everything we play is a competitive game, pretty much.
yeah,
And we've been trying to find a co-op game, to play of some sort, and just nothing is sticking, with our group. So this could be a good one, maybe potentially, but
yeah. I mean, I hope everyone gives it a chance. I think we can potentially this can potentially just be our laid back game if we don't want to play League one night or Apex or
yeah,
WoW. We can just turn
yeah,
this on and turn our brains off and shit. So
yeah, yeah.
that's it for me though.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, I've been obviously I haven't been on the show in a couple weeks. I have been playing some games though, so I'll go over the everything. So before I went on my trip, I was playing Turtle WoW. I actually played a bit when I came back too. I got my hunter to level 40 and I got my mount. So I'm like I don't know though. Like nobody's playing this right now, and it's just like like am I in this situation again where I'm playing by myself? I'm like I kind of feel that way right now, so I haven't really been playing much since the weekend on this one. I'm just kind of sitting on it right now. Last week though, while I was on my trip, I did bring my Steam Deck with me on the trip. So I was playing, and I mean this was perfect. I was playing Civ 6 on there, and then the guy I was with, Brian, on the trip, I actually showed him the Steam Deck and showed him how Civ plays on it, and then he ended up downloading Civ 6 on his work laptop and he started playing that, and then he wanted to start a game with me, a multiplayer game. So we actually started a multiplayer game that we played like 3 or 4 sessions of at this point, and we're in I think we're in turn like 400 or something like that in our game. So I'm actually having a lot of fun with this. As much as I have some issues with Civ 6. Playing it multiplayer is super fun. This is another game. If any of you guys ever got into this, I would fucking absolutely love to play a multiplayer Civ game with you guys. It's just so fucking fun to play a game. with other human players in the game. It just completely changes the way the dynamic works in the game, and it just makes everything more interesting inherently. So I've been enjoying that a lot. I have been playing on my own as well. I was playing a solo True Start Earth Map game as the Mali in Africa. And I got into this protracted war with Ethiopia, and it was man, it took me forever, but I actually managed to kill this guy. He had triple the number of cities I had when the war started, because he declared war on me. This motherfucker, he declared war on me, and I turned it all around on him. Man, I beat him back. I got enough of a tech parity with him that I was able to blitz him with similar strength units, and I ended up slowly going up the coast, all up Africa, and I took every single fucking city and destroyed the ones I didn't like. And I've got basically Africa's mine, essentially at this point. I am the one dominant force on the continent, and there are a couple of French cities and one Macedonian city on the northern part. They're trying to colonize that northern part of Africa, just like the fucking Europeans did in real life. Those motherfuckers. So I gotta, at some point I'm gonna beat them out too. It's gonna be the one true race in Africa for me in my Civ game. But yeah, so that's been really fun. The True Start's really cool. I did turn off all the American civs, North and South American civs, so that there were no civilizations in the Americas, so that you would have the kind of land grab that happened in real life there. So it's all just barbarians running around for the most part. So that's been pretty fun as well. Actually, so that's a pretty cool aspect to it as well. So it's been really fun. I'm enjoying Civ, getting back into the game and kind of relearning everything and playing the different map types and just trying some different things out. So that's been an enjoyable experience for sure. Did play a little bit of League just one night on Tuesday. Tuesday night, me, Andy, and Jet played. We probably played 3 games, I think, and we got our asses handed to us every single game. It was miserable. Like we had 2 randos every game, and they were fucking morons, Montrell. Like, let me tell you, like these people, they're the type who int into the enemy team, and then they get mad at you because you wouldn't int into the fucking team with them. Those kind of people. And yeah, we lost every game because of that shit. Regardless of how well we were doing. Yeah, it just ended poorly on all those games. So I don't know. It kind of like soured me on League a little bit. If you're not around to play, and I don't know, we don't have a full 5, I'm not sure I'm really gonna want to push this and play it a whole lot right now. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking I might just go into single player mode right now. If everybody's so fucking busy, it might as well, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. But other than that, coming back this week, I have been playing Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown really heavily. When I left for my trip, I was about 33% of the way through the game, according to the game file. Now I think I'm around 63% of the way through the game. This is in terms of the completion percentage the game shows on your file. So that's not in terms of story. I am much further than that in terms of the story. I think I'm probably a few hours away from being able to beat it whenever I feel like it. I am mostly right now going around cleaning up the side stuff, finding all the secrets, all the chests, the health pieces, and all that stuff, like all the upgrades for your character. I'm kind of doing that in every area right now. And then I'm going to go through the last, because I think I only have 1 or 2 areas left to go that I haven't been to, basically. And I think that, and then it's like a bunch of boss fights and it's the end of the game. So I'm getting really far in this, and yeah, I still really like this game a lot. I'm planning on 100%ing it. Like, I think I'm going to get the platinum for it as well. And it's a really good Metroidvania. Like, I like it a lot. I don't think it's like the best Metroidvania I've ever played, probably, but I'm also not a huge fan of many Metroidvanias as it stands. So the fact that this one is winning me over, I think it says a lot about it. It's a really good game. There are some issues with it though. It is a very buggy game. I found.
Okay.
I had this bug happen. I've actually got stuck in geometry many times, where you get stuck in a wall, you get stuck in a door, shit like that, where you lose sight of your character. I've had issues where the camera like loses focus on your character and like just starts going up into the fucking like into nothingness and you can't even see your fucking character. I've had that happen. I had this weird bug where I went back to the beginning of the game, like the first place you come into the game in, and it replayed the cutscenes from the beginning of the game. That was weird. Where that happened, it didn't affect anything, but yeah, it was super jarring to be like deep into the game and like the cutscenes playing where all the characters are together and talking to each other again. It was like that was super fucking weird. But so there's some bugs with the game for sure, but outside of those, it plays really well. I do think the unfortunately the thing that I think I'm the most disappointed in though is the combat. While it's cool, like I do like the combat in the game. I just don't think the game really gives you a ton of opportunities to use it to its fullest potential, I guess is what I'll say.
Mm,
There's a few boss fights where you really get to flex your skill a lot, and those are pretty few and far between. I will say. Most of the ones that where that's the case, they're deeper into the game, and they're I don't know. I'd say middling difficulty. I did have trouble on. I'd say there's like 3 boss fights where I've actually had a lot of trouble so far, where I've had to do it probably where I've probably died at least 10 times, I'd say. And I kind of had to redo it over again. Um, but those were the most fun ones for me too. Like they were the most complex and fun boss fights for sure. So there are good boss fights in the game. I just think the fighting against the regular enemies is just so like just doesn't matter. Like they don't I don't know. They can kill you. It's not like they're not a threat or anything like that, but it's just like the ability to go to an Athra tree, which is kind of where you like it's kind of like bonfires from Dark Souls or whatever, or shrines from Neo, kind of thing where you go to save your game and you get all your potions back and your health fully heals. They're just so plentiful. They're all over the map where like you will fight 1 or 2 groups of enemies between those. It's like it's not
yeah.
that big of a deal. So you don't really need to be that skillful in those encounters, generally speaking.
Okay.
And
I
that so
mean,
that's
does it have difficulty options?
it does. Yes,
Okay.
I'm playing on hard. I think there's one difficulty above that I'm not playing on right now, which I think would get extremely painful. Like you would be killed in 2 hits probably by most things early in the game probably.
Okay.
So but playing on hard, yeah, it's just I don't know. It's. I think the combat, like I was a little bit more excited about the combat than I think it ended up delivering on. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
It didn't quite hit. That doesn't mean though the game is bad. Like the combat is still good. I'm enjoying the combat, and everything like that. And I think it controls really really well. And I like the upgrades that you get, the abilities that you get later on. Some of the traversal abilities you get are actually kind of crazy. You get this like you get this so early in the game they give you this chakram that you can throw, and it's just like a ranged attack. You can hit enemies, and it's used for some puzzle solving as well sometimes.
Yeah.
But later in the game you get an ability where you can teleport to the chakram, so you can throw it and then you teleport to where it
Oh,
is. So it's actually it gets kind of crazy with the traversal later on in
okay.
the game.
So you turn into the fourth Hokage.
Yeah, yeah, kind of, dude. Yeah, no, really. You get a teleport early in the game, but it's only a positional one where you like place a shadow basically, and you can go back to that shadow. Later in the game, they let you throw the chakram and teleport to the chakram. So,
Okay.
um, so yeah, it's the abilities you get. Some of them are pretty cool. They actually have very good utility in combat too. Some of them, which is very fun. There is a lot of skill expression if you wanted to do it. I just don't think it's probably not necessary unless you're on the highest difficulty though,
Okay.
which is true for a lot of games. So it's not like a huge knock on the game. It's just if that's something you really want to experience, you probably want to play on one of the highest difficulties. Um, so yeah. But in terms of the story is just kind of whatever, dude. It's such nonsense. Like it's like so stupid. I'm barely paying attention to it at this point. I don't even really care what's going on anymore. I'm just enjoying the gameplay and the exploration. I will say I do want to shout out again though the platforming. There is some serious platforming challenges in this game that I do think live up to the Prince of Persia name certainly, and at the same time I think will give a lot of people issues. There are some very difficult platforming sections where you are having to, because yeah, like I said, the traversal abilities you get I mean, I don't know if spoilers if you care about like learning all like knowing what all these upgrades are, but you get a double jump, you get an air dash, you get the teleport thing that I just mentioned, and you also get you get like a whip that you can like grab onto stuff and pull yourself towards things later on. And yeah, there are some platforming puzzles where you are literally jumping into a pit that literally has these spinning spike traps all along the side, and the whole bottom is there's no floor. It's literally just spike pits, the entire floor. And you are having to traverse through all of that onto one little small section of wall that you grab onto that resets all of your, you know, your jumps and stuff. And then you're having to do that again, like into a, like jump up, air dash, fall down, and then grapple to a fucking wall or some shit like that. Like it's pretty crazy stuff. They actually didn't hold back on some of that, which I am enjoying that a lot. I love that. I love that they did that, and I think it's really well executed. So yeah, it's good. The game is really good. I like it a lot, and you know, the fact that I'm platinuming it, I mean, should tell you that it's definitely a game I'm enjoying quite a bit. But I would certainly recommend it too. I think the reduced price, the $50 price tag, is a good price for this game. You know, I think other people who are a little bit more into the Metroidvania genre than I am probably would tell you that this game is not like that amazing compared to some of the best games in the genre, but
Mhm.
um, it's no slouch either, though. I think it's an enjoyable experience, certainly to go through. So, I think it's a game I'm glad I bought. I'm liking it a lot. I'm hoping to beat it in the next few days, hopefully. And yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. You didn't buy this, right?
No, I didn't buy it yet,
Okay. Do you plan on
unfortunately.
it?
Yes, I do. It slipped through my mind with everything, happening right now as far as like me in school and everything. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. I mean, I might. This might be my good portable game to play because sometimes I have like an hour or two to do before
Mm,
class.
it would be a
So,
very good portable game. Yes.
yeah. So I'm thinking about just getting on the Switch. I was going to get on the PlayStation, but I think I'm gonna get it on my Switch and just play on there.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it'd be a good game on Switch or Steam Deck if you have that also. I think
Yeah,
it'd be
I
really
actually
good on
might.
either
I
of those.
actually might buy one of those next month. Steam
Yeah,
Deck.
it's so worth it, dude. It's so good for travel. Like it's crazy. I used my Steam Deck on the plane ride there and back, and the battery lasted through pretty much the whole plane ride both ways,
Okay.
which was about 3 hours, I would say, plane civ. So I will say on the way back, it did end up dying. The flight was a little bit longer than 3 hours, and it didn't quite make that. So yeah, but yeah, no, definitely worth it. So, but yeah, Prince of Persia, very good game. Enjoying it a lot. I would definitely recommend it for folks if you're into that genre. So, all right, Macho, let's move on into the news. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. One thing you sort of covered last week, that we've gotten more information about now is the Xbox games going multi-platform. So
Yep.
there were a lot of rumors going on around about this last week, and it was getting a little crazy. I thought like people were going absolutely fucking nuts about the speculation on this one, but um Xbox and Microsoft decided to do an event this week that they did in the form of a quote podcast. It really wasn't a podcast, but okay. You know, it was basically a host with Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty, who are, you know, basically the three heads of Xbox over at Microsoft. And they basically talked about they addressed the rumors, not directly necessarily, but they did want to talk about the you know, kind of plans for multi-platform going forward and a few other things. So I think we'll go piece by piece here. The main thing, the first thing they covered that I think this is the most important thing is Phil said there are going to be 4 games that are going to be going multi-platform. He did not say what platforms they're going to be going to, and he also did not say what the games are. He said he wanted those teams to be able to announce it themselves. So there's reporting though from I believe The Verge, and then someone else, I think Steven Totillo, also was reporting on what the games are. So they are going to be, according to these folks, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, and Grounded. Which Phil did say 2 of them are live service, 2 of them are not, and they're all a year or older. Which all 4 of those would fit into that if that is the case, if that's, if what he said is true. So let's just start there, Montreal. I mean, what do you think about the games that are going multi-platform, and what platforms do you think they're going to be going to?
I actually think these are some really good games to go multi-platform. I definitely think Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment are definitely going to PlayStation.
Yes, I
Actually, I
agree.
think all of them may go to PlayStation. I can actually see Grounded being on PlayStation and
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves as well, being on
I'm
PlayStation.
excited about Pentiment, actually. I may buy that.
Yeah,
Honestly.
Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush are definitely going to the Switch, I believe. Both of those games have the
Yeah.
graphic fidelity for the Switch. I'm not too sure about Grounded. Grounded, I'm iffy on. That's like a 50-50.
Yeah.
They people have done crazier stuff on the Switch though, so that may come to the Switch. Sea of Thieves, I have no doubt in my mind that it's not going to come to the Switch. Um,
Yeah,
but
I don't think that platform will be able to play that game.
Yeah, but I think Hi-Fi Rush would be a really good portable game. So I am hoping it comes to the Switch. I have it
Yeah.
on Xbox. I haven't finished it yet. I think I'm like 2 or 3 missions away from finishing it. But it's just one of those games I do want to play on the go. Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, Pentiment is another game I really want to play on the go as well. So hopefully that's coming to the Switch as well. But I can totally see both of those coming to the PlayStation uh 5 as well, or PlayStation in general as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Um. Well, do you want to address the, I guess, future of multi-platform now, or do you want to go through the rest of the list that I have here first, and then we can kind of circle back and hit that
Yeah, we
afterwards?
can circle back and hit that.
Okay, I kind of feel the same way. So okay, so some key information though we got. Sarah Bond dropped a couple things that I thought were notable. She said there were 34 million. There are 34 million Game Pass subscribers. That is the first time we've gotten that number in, I believe, over 2 years. The last time we had heard about it was about 30 million. So it seems like they've plateaued significantly, but there is still growth happening with Game Pass. It's just been very slow the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Um, what do you think of that number, Montreal? 34 million
I
subscribers.
think that's sustainable. I think what they want is sustainability, and the fact that they held that 30, that initial 30,
Yeah,
um, kind of speaks to volume of what Game Pass can do. I
yeah,
personally don't like Game Pass, in my opinion, because I'd rather people just buy games and support them that way. I have my own reasons for that. I believe Game Pass is a gateway to like the Netflix of gaming, and like the Netflix kind of killed movies, and we couldn't get smaller movies because of non DVD sales. It's a whole thing with movies and everything like that. The reason why we don't get smaller budget movies anymore. And I'm really hoping. Unfortunately, gaming is going in that direction as well, and I think Game Pass kind of facilitates that. That being said, I feel like if you are on um, the side of like you don't have that much money to dish out, but you want to play all these games, this is a viable option for people who want to play get the games. Unfortunately, I think people won't use it the way I think it should be used. Like if I was to have Game Pass, I would kind of use it as an initial demo to play a full game or whatever. And if I decide I like the game, I'll just buy the game. But a lot of people won't do that. So that's how I personally feel about it. But yeah, I don't know how you feel about it.
yeah. I like the way Sony's doing it. I think in terms for the health of the industry, where they're treating it more of a 1 year or older game subscription.
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah,
I think that's much more sustainable for the industry at large. I don't think Xbox's model is sustainable for the industry day and date game releases. But I will say, if you remember when we talked about the leaks that came out of the Activision Blizzard case, the acquisition case, where there were internal documents about the growth of Game Pass and where they wanted to be in like 2027, 2028. And this number 34 million is they are nowhere near where they wanted to be in terms of those numbers. So they're not even going to remotely approach that if they don't get some meteoric growth going in the next year or two.
yeah.
Because they were talking about like, what was it, 80, 90 million or something subscribers, or something crazy like that.
I can't remember, but it was a high number. I thought it was like 100 subscribers, 100 million.
I
But
think it might have been 100 million, yeah, which is an extremely large number of people.
yeah,
Which is like over double the number of Xboxes out there right now. So they're gonna have to they're gonna have to make some serious strides, I think, to even get close to approaching that number. But still, the fact that they're showing growth, I mean, that is positive though. They're not declining, I guess. So that is notable, certainly. For sure. But okay, so the next thing she dropped actually was about a new hardware announcement coming this holiday. Which I thought that was very interesting because they have said they're not doing a mid-gen upgrade like Sony is. Like they're not doing an Xbox Series X Pro, or anything like that. So, um, what do you think this might be? Do you think it is a Pro, or do you think it might be something else?
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do like a stream type box situation.
Okay,
Um, where it's just
I could
it's
see that.
super low effort. You can probably attach it to your TV or something like that, and you can play Xbox games that way. Because I believe, like in my opinion, that's their whole goal is to get back in the living room, but get back in the living room in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, I can't see them doing any kind of VR um
No.
at all. That'd be a waste of their equipment.
Waste of
I
resources. Yeah.
I mean, I could see them kind of doing some kind of, you know what? They may do a portable streaming device. I can
Well,
see them
that's what
doing
I was
that.
gonna say. I don't even think streaming device. I think like a Steam Deck style handheld.
I
Um,
would actually play a lot of Xbox games like that, to be
because
honest with you.
listening to them talk, the thing that they kept hitting on was play everywhere, play where you want to. They want to bring their stuff where the players are, right, where players
Yeah.
want to play, and they mentioned specifically mobility. And I don't think they name dropped Steam Deck specifically, but they were talking about that space basically. There's a lot of players out there that are playing on multiple devices. They'll be playing on their console and then they go and they play somewhere else later on. And honestly, I think this is a good vector for them to attack because I'm just speaking it from myself, right? This is actually how I consume games now. Like I've been the kind of player like Honkai Star Rail is a good example, right? I would play that game on my PC and then I would go somewhere and I would play it on my phone because you can play it on both. Like
Oh,
in
okay.
your
It's
account,
cross save.
your account's linked. Yeah, your account's linked between the devices. And I love shit like that now. That's why I like the Steam Deck so much for the same reason. I can play Civ on my PC, and then when I'm on the go, I can play that same save file on my Steam Deck. It's cloud synced, right? So I think that might be more where they're going. I don't know if they're going to get as expensive as the Steam Deck is necessarily with how much it would cost. Maybe it is
I
a
can
streaming device like the Portal potentially. But that
I
seems like a smart place to go personally.
Yeah, I hope they don't do the portal. I hope they do an actual dedicated device like the Steam
I
Deck or
agree.
Switch.
I agree. Yeah.
I feel like Xbox has the money to actually recoup the loss. This will be fucking huge for them if they do that. You know how many people and you have like Game Pass with it? Like that will be
Oh
fucking
yeah.
huge for
It'd be
them,
an
man.
amazing. It actually would be an amazing device. Like I would
Yeah.
legitimately think about buying it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and on top
Yeah.
of that, this will be a huge hit in the Eastern markets because you know Eastern love portable
Yep.
devices and everything of that nature.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the most overlooked things that the Switch has done, that you know is portable. And obviously the Steam Deck, people see how well the Steam Deck is selling as well. And I think, in my opinion, the portable was like the wrong move. We should have got a Vita 2 or something of that nature, and it should have had the capabilities of the portal
Yeah.
in its own dedicated, like, you know, just being again, it can have Vita games, but you can also play like PlayStation games on there or something like place low fidelity PlayStation 5 games or something like that. Maybe they just didn't have the technology or forethought for it. But yeah, I think Xbox, with their model of releasing games on PC as well, I think
Yeah.
they can, because you have to make your games for a wide range of stuff if you're going to do that, right? Why not build a Steam Deck esque type device that can kind of counter that, or whatever the case may be, or be a companion to it or something? I don't know. I think that would be the correct move. I hope that's what it is, but I mean, we'll see this holiday.
Yeah. I mean, I could see a stream box though, like you mentioned too.
Yeah,
That isn't outside the realm of possibility, and I would be really disappointed if that's the direction they decide to go. I don't feel like there's a huge market for that. And I don't necessarily think gamers are clamoring for that kind of device either. So, but But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was notable though that she mentioned it, because that's the first time we've actually officially heard about it. There have been rumors percolating about this, but nothing like solid. So coming from them specifically, I mean, gives us something to look forward to later this year. This is looking like, I mean, not to get like too macro here, but this is looking like a very big year for Xbox. 2024 is going to be a very, very big year for Xbox, especially in a time where we'll talk about later in the show with Sony, kind of where they're going to be this year. This feels like an opportunity potentially for Xbox to make some strides this year for sure. So, all right. So continuing on with the discussion here, they mentioned Activision games officially are coming to Game Pass. They didn't say anything like all of them necessarily, but they said Activision games are coming to Game Pass. And they did name drop Diablo 4 is coming March 28th to the service. Which that is a pretty big get. That's a huge game that is going to be on Game Pass now. So, Montrell, what do you think of this? Do you think all Activision games will be on Game Pass this time next year?
Yeah, 100%. I can't see them not doing that. That would be a huge bump for Game Pass if like the next Call of Duty was on uh Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay for it. I think that would be huge. Especially if they're gonna try to get Game Pass on other consoles, which they didn't announce anyway. Spoiler alert, y'all. But that would be cool if they did do something like that. And it would probably eat at Sony's fucking bottom line too. So I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I if they incorporated some kind of if I get Game Pass and I get a WoW subscription for free, I might actually be like, or they might actually,
That
people
would be
might jump
huge.
on that. Yeah,
Every World of Warcraft player would have no reason not to sign up for Game Pass.
exactly.
If it maintained the same price, there would be no reason not to subscribe through Game Pass.
That would be huge for them. Or maybe it's like a $2 difference or something like that. That's still, in my opinion, worth it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then getting the like all the old Blizzard games on there and stuff too would be pretty cool, like Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3. All the stuff on BattleNet. I think that would be pretty cool for the PC version of Game Pass, specifically. But so yeah, this obviously we knew this was coming. It's just it was a matter of time. All right, the next thing, just to put some of the crazy rumor mongering to bed, they did say there is next gen hardware coming, and that it will be the largest. They're working on making it the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation. Which, I mean, that's very Xbox talk. They always talk like this when they talk about hardware, but it is notable, I guess, that they are pretty much confirming that there is going to be a next gen Xbox in a few years. We don't know how long. They didn't say how long. They didn't give any details beyond that. But just putting those rumors to bed that Xbox, they're not getting out of hardware. I thought all that talk was silly. That just their games going multi-platform doesn't mean the hardware is going away necessarily. So, but Montreal, what do you think about this new hardware confirmed?
Yeah, I think that confirms. I'm actually glad, and we'll talk about it in the next story once we get done with this subject. But I'm actually glad they're not like fully giving up. That was my biggest critique
There's
of
no
it.
reason for them to. I don't think that was ever a realistic
I
reality.
mean, but you know how the internet talks and
I
all
know.
these YouTube.
No, Twitter whipped itself into a fucking frenzy about this shit, and it became this circular thing, and they just like it just got out of control, dude. It got completely out of hand, like to the point that like actual pundits that I somewhat respect were talking about this like it's the end of Xbox, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? What are you talking about? Like, there's no way. They're packing it up, boys. Get the briefcases, get the suitcases. It's over. It's all Sony now. It's like, dude, no shot. I just like I could see that in maybe 15 years, maybe, but like right now, they're not packing it up, dude. It's not like
No. I will admit 2013 was a huge blow to them.
Yeah.
That was a really
Absolutely.
huge blow to them.
Yeah.
And they're slowly recovering from it. Unfortunately, the internet never forgets. And it's just one of those situations where you got to bring what you have to bring, and they don't have right now, in my opinion, they don't have what they need to bring it. But it looks like they're making steps towards that, right? I think not only with Game Pass, but I think they're going in two totally different directions as far as from PlayStation, right? Um, PlayStation is more focused on like movies and production and everything of that nature,
Multimedia, yeah.
multimedia, and they're like kind of doubling down on the video game aspect, and they're making more hardware and they're trying to get it in more people's hands and everything of that
Mhm.
nature,
Yeah.
um, which I think is really cool. Yeah, and like I said, I'm just glad that they're not leaving the space at all. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, last thing they mentioned that was notable is there is June showcase coming, which I mean, not a surprise. I think we all kind of knew that, but we did get confirmation of this. Um, as much as real quick on this, the showcases, the E3 style showcases they've been doing every June. This one feels, the last couple they've been building, right? I feel like
Mhm.
last year's was big, right? They had the Starfield kind of showcase and they really like went deep on that game, and there was some other notable announcements in there as well. And I think even 2 years ago, I remember us being fairly positive. Like they've been pretty good with those the last couple of years. And this one, I do feel like this one is important. Is going to be big for them. I think they really got a hit on everything this year. And I think this showcase is going to be very important for them. Like I really do. They need to show Fable more. For
Well,
me
they have to show other
personally.
games too. They have to show other games they're
Yes.
working on. We
Yep.
have to see gameplay. We can't see any more CGI stuff.
I agree.
We have to see what's
Yep.
coming out in the fall this holiday for hardware. You have to give us some type of preview for it. You have to bring this because, in my opinion, and we'll talk about it later, this is their window. This year is their
Yeah.
window. They have a
Yep.
whole year and a half to bring it. And
Yep.
I it's actually kind of funny. I mean, we talk about console wars and everything like that, but I think people are just itching and just looking for a reason to buy an Xbox at this point. People
Yep.
want to buy an Xbox. It's actually insane. Um,
Mhm.
and they just need to give people a reason to. I think people are tired of Sony. So yeah, just bring it, man.
Yeah, and Sony's not in a great position either right now. But so to talk about overall, so obviously with all the rumors, this event, just their messaging and everything, I think we both agree that Xbox isn't going anywhere as a brand. The hardware is not necessarily going anywhere in the short term. Which, like, just to dig in a little bit more on that too, is like I I think it's been part of their messaging, and Phil did say this in this event too. Like it's been part of their messaging for a while now. I mean, years, going back years. Phil himself has literally said they want their games, they want to meet players where they are. They want to be on screens where their players are, like they want their games everywhere, and they've literally said those words in the past. So the fact that they're doing this, experimenting with this is not that big of a surprise to me necessarily. I was waiting for this to happen. It just kind of happened in a weird way and kind of came really abruptly, but it sounds like they were close to making this announcement on their own in the coming months.
Yeah, it
And
sounds like it got leaked by somebody. I don't
yeah,
actually know how this rumor started. Like I just saw it pop up on my
yeah,
timeline and then on
yeah.
pop up on my YouTube timeline and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're good. You're good. No, it's a good point to bring up is like how the rumor started. I do wonder about Phil, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, what their long term future with Xbox is. Because I will say, I don't, as much as Phil has been saying this, I do wonder how much of this is coming from them, this decision to start pushing the games multi platform. I, because obviously they're part of Microsoft, right? If
Yeah,
Satya says, we're going multi-platform, we're not doing exclusives, that's what's happening. It's like that's just how it is in the corporate world. So and he has
he
specifically
actually,
said,
yeah, he
he said
said
he
that.
doesn't like exclusives like in the past. So um yeah, sorry, go ahead, what were you gonna say?
No, yeah, he said something to that degree where he mentioned like the corporate business aspect of it.
Yes.
It just makes sense as well. I,
Yeah.
I specifically remember hearing that um while I was
Yeah.
like watching and doing work. So I don't know. Yeah, his whole goal is to get games everywhere. Unfortunately, he is in the hardware space, and exclusives do push your hardware, or not even necessarily exclusives, just getting
Yeah.
third
Yeah.
party games.
Yeah. which that's been a problem for them, but they're getting better. But what I will say is, I think the strategy for them is that their exclusive is Game Pass. That's their exclusive. You know, is you can buy whatever. Like I think in the long term, I think it's like yeah, you can buy Starfield for $70 on PlayStation, and then you can buy Indiana Jones for $70 on PlayStation, and then you could buy Fable for $70 on PlayStation, or you could get an Xbox and you could just get them all for $15 a month. You know, you don't buy any of them. Like I think that's their play. I think that's kind of what they're going for. Honestly, is I think they want to bring these games over. They want to get PlayStation players and even Nintendo players, right? They want to get these other platforms, players on these other platforms, kind of familiar with their games, you know, what they do, what they have, and then people start looking and be like, I can get an Xbox and I can pay 15 a month to get full access to anything they have. That's pretty crazy. You know, like
Hmm.
I think that's their strategy. I think that's long term what they're trying to go for. Because I don't think Sony's going to allow Game Pass on their platform, despite the fact that Xbox probably would happily put some version of Game Pass on PlayStation. I mean, they literally said they would in the Activision Blizzard case. So given that, I think that's kind of their play, and it could work. I think that makes sense. I think it could work because Sony is never going to offer anything remotely close to Game Pass. I don't think. Like, I don't think that's a reality we're going to live in the future. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Wait, repeat that one more time. I'm sorry.
The
Kind of cut out.
just the sorry, just the idea of their strategy with Game Pass, that they're going to have Game Pass on their platform exclusively, and they'll have the games available a la carte, but that will eventually kind of like people start thinking about them. Damn, I've spent like $250-$300 on these games a la carte, only like 4 or 5 games. I could have just paid $15 a month and I could have played all this shit, you know, on the Xbox platform.
You know what? Is an interesting. That is an interesting exclusivity. That's a different way of thinking exclusivity, in my
Yeah,
opinion. That is
yeah,
the exclusive notion. You can pay $300 or $400 for the games, or I can just get a device, an Xbox device, and then pay $15 a la carte, or pay $15 a month rather for these group of games. And if I want to buy a game a la carte, most likely they're going to be multi-platform anyway. I can just buy them on Xbox.
right. Yeah, right, exactly. And I kind of think that is more the play they're going for long term. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, certainly. But
Yeah.
um, and then I think overall the other thing is, you know, I guess we can kind of. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the event, Xbox in
No,
general?
I think the whole thing was a big nothing burger.
Yeah,
I will say this: if this event, if if this didn't, the rumor stuff didn't start, I think this event would have been actually kind of huge. To be honest with you,
yeah,
the reason why I think it's a nothing burger is because of all the rumors swirling and everything of that nature. Um,
right.
I don't know how to explain it. Like,
Well, we knew
just
most of the things they said here. You know,
well,
it's just
we
official
did.
now. It's
It
like you
is,
know,
yeah, it's just
yeah,
official. But I think it would have actually been kind of huge though. Like if they had came out and officially just said all this stuff. But like the rumors blew it up to be like Phil's announcing we're closing the Xbox division or something like that's what a lot of people were expecting. And
yeah.
that's kind of what I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of like what I was kind of expecting. I was kind of expecting him to not say like we're closing the Xbox division,
No, man.
but we're making our games multi-platform. Like
Yeah, yeah.
and we're gonna slowly phase out Xbox hardware or whatever. But uh, it was a big nothing burger, and I'm kind of glad. Like I said, I'm actually super stoked that they're doubling down on
I
hardware
mean,
and
yeah,
they're
right.
in games and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and that could be the long term future. Like 10 years from now, that could be the reality is that we don't have an Xbox console anymore. Like that could be the reality. That's still a position that I could see Xbox being in. However, which is why I think they're doing this. I think they see that future too and are just preparing themselves for a reality where maybe their hardware just doesn't have a space anymore, you know? And that they need to go third party as just like a third party publisher, right?
Hmm.
But I think they can hedge successfully. I do think they can hedge. And a lot of people, there's a lot of questions out there about like, well, what's the point of an Xbox if all the stuff's multi-platform? Well, it's not going anywhere, man. Other people having access to these games doesn't hurt you owning an Xbox. I mean, yes, you could make the argument that, oh, but I could just own a PS5, and I could play everything. And it's like, okay, you could. That's true, but you've been an Xbox player forever. Like, your library's there, your digital library's there. You also have access to Game Pass, which you're not going to have on PlayStation. Like, there are reasons still to stay in the Xbox ecosystem.
Yeah.
Even with the quote exclusives going multi-platform, it's like, I mean, a lot of these games have been on PC as it stands now for years. They've been doing this for years anyways on PC, so it's like they've kind of already been pseudo multi-platform, in a lot of ways. So it's like, I just don't think it's that big of a leap. I think people are freaking out too much. There was a lot of crazy shit with the Xbox community, like going absolutely fucking nuts. Like how could Phil do this to us? That kind of thing. Like it's a betrayal that they're doing. It's like, guys, y'all need to calm the fuck down. Like, this is reminding me of when PlayStation announced they were bringing games to PC. How the PlayStation fanboys like lost their fucking minds. Like, it's okay, like, it's fine. Like, companies need to make money, and we're gonna get into that here. Let's move on to the next story, Montreal, because this all kind of ties together, right? Is
Yeah.
Sony, during their last earnings call, confirmed there's going to be no, quote, major first party titles before April 2025, meaning no big franchises, no like Last of Us, no Spider-Man type games, no God of War style. So that means we're probably not getting Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
We're definitely not getting Wolverine or even that Venom game, or anything like that, which I think the Venom game was next year, I think, anyway. So
Yeah.
we already knew that. But so we're not getting anything major from Sony, meaning, to what we were just talking about with Xbox, 2024 is turning into a huge opportunity for Microsoft and Xbox, to
Yeah.
kind of take advantage of a lull that Sony has in their release schedule.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do not, and this is what I mean, y'all. This is what I mean when I say Sony needs competition, because they get fucking comfortable and they do dumb shit like this. And what makes it even worse than the Xbox fanboys crying and saying Phil betrayed us is the Sony fanboys sucking Sony's dick and saying, "Oh, this is yo, I'm about to jiggle your balls too." Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, no one's talking about this shit, and it's so fucking
Yeah.
annoying, bro. It's so fucking annoying. Like, they somehow manage to always lose their lead or always get comfortable in their league, and they try other avenues. And this, you know what? There's nothing wrong with trying other avenues, but I feel like this is how we get another PS3 situation. That's why we got the PS3 the initial first couple of years. And I mean, of course, the PS3 came back, later on. I don't want to say won that generation, but they, came back and proved themselves that generation. But they got way too comfortable with the PS2. Um, and then the PS3 came out, and we got that shit show of a console. And I don't want that to happen with the PS5. I don't want that to happen with Sony. But we see inklings of it everywhere. Like, I mean, we've been talking about it for the last couple of months. How Sony has just been getting like super comfortable, and they need some type of competition. They don't see, even though Nintendo is a huge competitor, for some reason they don't see Nintendo as a major threat to them.
Yeah.
And a lot of the player base doesn't see that as well. Where I feel like that's the opposite, and this right here kind of confirms that there's no first party releases. Like, what about your exclusive third party lineup or whatever? And maybe that's what they mean. Maybe they have.
Well, that's what they're going to be relying on this year, I think,
Yeah.
is the Rise of the Ronins and games like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, on one hand, I'm not too upset that there's not going to be any major first party releases or whatever. Me personally, I already have enough games to fucking play. I already have enough stuff in my backlog from Sony's catalog that I need to play. But if I was some kind of investor, I would be like, okay, what about some type of Last of Us DLC, some type of Uncharted remaster, or Uncharted remake, or Ghost of Tsushima? Like, I think it's been 4 years now since Ghost of Tsushima 2 or 1, right?
No, yeah, it
No,
was 2020.
2020, yeah. So it has been 4 years.
Yeah.
So it'll be 4 years in December, I think, or something like that. But
July.
July, okay. So Yeah, like at least give us like something like that, like I don't know, man.
Well, I think what we're going to get are the live service games like Fair Games and Concord. I think those are one of those
Mm.
is probably coming out this year. Fair Games more than likely.
I
But
mean,
they don't consider that a major first party game. It's a new IP multiplayer live service game. So
yeah, like I mean, how do you feel about it? Well, how do you? I know how you feel about it because I think you feel the same way as far as like Sony and their attitude towards stuff. But like, do you feel like they can get away with it because it's like the meme you put in there? He can't keep getting away with this. Like
yeah.
that's that's kind of
Uh,
how I feel about Sony. Like every time I see this, they get away with it though. Like they
yeah.
are the Walter White of gaming, and no one's like they're actually the bad guys in the gaming. Like no one sees it though, So
Well, so I think okay, we always bring up the PS3 right as an example of them,
yeah.
kind of fucking up right when they had a massive advantage, built-in advantage, and but that was 20 years ago, and I think that was when they were a lot younger as a
Hmm.
brand, and they couldn't afford that fuck up back then. They weren't established enough to weather that kind of fuck up,
Yeah.
and now I just think they just seem entrenched right now, dude. Like they're selling consoles. I think they sold 21 million PS5s in that's their projection for the fiscal year ending I think in March. And that's an insane number of consoles 3 years into the console cycle, Like that's a lot of consoles. Like they just continue to keep selling hardware and it doesn't seem to matter whether the exclusives are coming or not, And I don't see that changing in the short term, I guess is what I'll say. I think where Xbox needs to take advantage, they need to take advantage now, but they're probably building towards the next generation, whenever that is. I think that's when their opportunity will come once again, is that moment when the generation switches over. Because I just don't think they're gonna like they're just entrenched in PS5 right now. Like it just feels like it doesn't really matter what Sony does, and the third party exclusives are strong enough that I think they are kind of carrying the console a little bit. Like, I mean, Final Fantasy VII Reboot Birth, dude, that's an exclusive to PlayStation on console. Like that's going to be an exclusive for them, and that's
Nah,
insane. That is an
yeah,
insane game to have as an exclusive.
exactly. And one thing I will push, even I will push back against myself. I kind of hate this notion that PlayStation 5 has no games.
Yeah,
I don't know where it came from. I hate it. I
yeah,
hate
that
it.
doesn't make any sense.
It's like, oh well, I don't even know why people have a PS5. I've been playing my PC, and it's like, all right, play your fucking PC then.
Yeah,
It's so weird, man. And like I've been seeing that a lot too. Not just on like Twitter or anything like that, but YouTubers, because I'm barely on Twitter. I talk my shit and I get off Twitter now. But like YouTubers and everything like that, like that's my main source of entertainment. And yeah, I've seen people saying like, yeah, PlayStation 5 barely has any games and everything. And I think they mean first party games, but it's like even
even that though isn't really true. You got Spider-Man, God of War. You got a new Gran Turismo that came out.
I've seen people say this is the worst lineup
Miles
of
Morales,
yeah, I've seen people say this is the worst lineup
Horizon.
of games as far as first party
They're
titles.
crazy. Did they live through the early PS3? Did they live through the early PS4? Like I
I
think
don't
this is actually one of the strongest first party lineups they've had since PS1 probably in terms
yeah.
of a first half of a generation, like legitimately.
I wholeheartedly agree. And their third party lineup is because
Has
in
been
my
absolutely
yeah
murdering. Yeah.
yeah the third
Killer.
party exclusive lineup has been killing. I don't and I just don't understand where people are saying like they have no games and I can play it on and it's like okay I don't know where this is coming from. Yeah, you can play it on PC, but bro, like a
Mhm.
majority of people are playing their games on consoles, and that's where it is. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they'll be fine. It's just they can't rest on their laurels too much. If we go into
Yes.
2025 and we still have no idea, because that's the thing is, right, we've been harping about their silence for a year probably now. Like it's been deafening that the fact that they have basically not announced anything in a year plus really. And we've gone through Spider-Man 2 and now Helldivers. And dude, do we have any idea what the release lineup for them is for the next rest of this year? No, we have no idea. But again, it hasn't mattered. It has not mattered to sales of the console and the sales of games on their platform either. Because I do think they have a strong third-party lineup that Xbox does not have, and that is a problem for Xbox that they also need to solve at some point. But but yeah, I don't know. It's just it is what it is right now. Like unless I honestly think their strategy is smart, being silent, because by talking, you put your foot in your mouth potentially, you know. By saying nothing, you're just kind of letting the console speak for itself, you know, at a certain point. And it's like it's working. It is working. So as much as me and you and people like us, we want to know what's going on with first party and we want to hear what Sony's coming out with and stuff like that. I don't think most general gamers even care or even know what first party is, you know? Like they don't know that Naughty Dog is a Sony studio. They don't know that. They probably don't know that, you know? So it is kind of a thing where in this like analyst world that we're in sometimes where we get really obsessed with like the first party and the plans of the first party. But to the general populace, I don't think that stuff matters all that much, you know. There's like a core gaming group that cares about that stuff, and I don't think that's the majority though of people buying and playing on these consoles at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're like a very vocal minority. Uh, Obviously the sales speak for themselves. I mean, they've been talking about how sales have been slowing down, but I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, PlayStation 5 still going to sell like hotcakes in the Christmas time, you know? So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I want to know more what's going on for sure. Uh, but but yeah, I mean, we'll just have to be patient with it. We'll see. And honestly, I think this is a good time where Xbox is kind of coming up. I'm actually kind of excited for Xbox right now. They've got a lot they've got announced, and I think they've got a lot in the pipe that they're planning on doing. And you know, I think it's kind of cool to see them in the spotlight a little bit more, whereas Sony's kind of almost taking a back seat, which is weird. But you know, they don't have anything to talk about though. It's like there's just that is the thing I do wonder about with Sony though, is kind of the back end of this generation. Are we going to be really backloaded in like 2025, 2026, 2027, where they're just going to have like, we're going to have like 10 first party exclusives, like crazy shit. I mean, we're gonna, like, we might have a Last of Us game. We might have like Ghost of Tsushima 2. We're probably going to have Spider-Man 3 potentially. We'll have whatever Santa Monica is potentially working on next. I mean, they're obviously there's Gorilla. They'll probably have Horizon out by the end of the generation, maybe Horizon 3 out by the end of the generation. I mean, we could have a really backloaded release schedule for Sony coming up too. So that's an interesting thing to consider in the kind of longer term with them.
Yeah, I I personally don't like when they do that, but because just for me personally, like I can't play all those games at one time. But
Yeah,
uh,
having The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima in back-to-back months was rough at the
yeah,
time, I remember.
yeah, but that's just me personally though. But uh, I don't know. I just don't want them to get too comfortable. I think, and I don't think they are. I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad this announcement from Xbox uh prove that they're staying in the fight, and Sony will still have to work hard because we both benefit from both sides of them of this
Absolutely.
competition. You know,
Yeah,
so that's why I really
right.
want Xbox to stay in the fight and everything.
Well, dude, right? Like, just look at Game Pass, right? Like, we would not have a PlayStation subscription service if Game Pass didn't exist. They would have never made that. They would have never come out with it. They wouldn't have even tried. You know,
Yeah,
Xbox drove them to that. So yeah, having that other player in the space is certainly important, regardless. So yeah. All right, Montreal. Let's move on to our next story, which is also Sony related. They have invested in an African startup called what is it called? Carry First. Yeah, Carry First. Um, they are a company that has been kind of publishing and distributing games in Africa in recent years, and they're in South Africa. This company, and Sony has invested a significant amount of money in them to start working towards distributing their games and hardware in Africa. Specifically because this is a market up to this point, I believe that they don't actually sell their hardware there. Meaning that if any gamers in Africa that want to play on PlayStation have to get their get a PlayStation through um second market means. Like you can't officially buy it anywhere. So that is obviously a problem. Number one. Number two, though, talking about growth, because I mean we've been watching the Circana numbers for years now on this podcast. We've been following them since they were MPD and etc. Right,
Mhm.
and there has not been a ton of growth the last couple of years in the industry, and this is why to me this story is kind of notable. Is that Sony is looking for vectors of growth because I think it's becoming clear after 20 years, the last 20 years of consoles that current territories that consoles are made and sold in, primarily like UK, US, Japan, even Brazil, they become probably saturated at this point, right? Like the
Mhm.
people who play games and buy consoles are the same people who've been buying consoles and playing games for the last 20 years, right? And there haven't been a lot of new players probably in that space, which is why I think they're making this move, is expanding into a territory that they haven't been in before. Is this is how you get growth, in terms of console sales, game sales, etc. And I don't personally know a ton about the state of economics in Africa and every specific country necessarily, but there are certainly places where there are people playing video games, right? So
Yeah.
there's an opportunity here. And they were talking about I think there's been it's $1 billion industry in Africa, which is not an
Really?
insignificant amount
Wow.
of money. Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's actually crested that yet. They're expecting it to generate over $1 billion for the first time in 2024. Um, so that's according to this company, Carry First.
Okay.
So, so yeah, Montreal. I mean, what do you make of this? Do you think this is a smart play for Sony? You think there's a lot of potential here?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a whole new player base over there. I felt that was kind of neglected in the first place.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's always cool to get brand new markets in there because there's just more players to play video games and stuff like that. Um, I don't know. I was talking about that, and I saw that you had this in the doc last week. Because it was the same thing with like I didn't even realize how big gaming was in the Middle East and how that is
Yeah.
$1 billion
Yep.
industry over there in the Middle
Yep.
East and stuff like that. As far as like on the other side of the spectrum, for like online gaming like League of Legends and everything of that nature and Valorant,
Hmm.
uh, so yeah, I'm actually like excited to see other markets and um my reason is kind of different. Like I think for obviously because they're players and everything like that, but that will also bring up maybe more studios, more maybe more inspiration
Yep.
from other stuff.
That's part of this investment is
Yep.
actually development studios, which Sony has been making strides in many territories. Like India is another one where they've invested a lot in building development teams and trying
Yeah.
to get development talent from those places, which is definitely a smart play to me.
Yeah, because there are a lot of like talented people in other countries. I know everybody just we tend to think of like oh America and Japan and in the EU,
Right.
but like
Right.
when I was doing like game design and stuff like that, I would go in the forums and there would be a lot of talented people from India, from small islands or small countries in East Asia or Central Asia, Russia, Africa, and things of that nature. So Brazil was not Brazil, but South America. That was a huge like that had a huge
Mm. Hmm.
um, talent pool as well. So I don't know. I think I think it's very cool. Um, and we will probably get not only different game studios but different ideas, different culture melding, different
Mm.
diversity of
Yep.
games and stuff like that. I just think it will be really cool to see that. I
Yeah,
think.
this is where you'll get actual diversity from is getting games from diverse areas of the world. Not having white people making games that they think are diverse, you know.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to harp on the diversity thing, but
Yeah. No,
that's
I know.
probably
I'm sorry. I'm just
you
being
know,
flippant, but
no. That's primarily like not to blame white people, but it's just like where the whole diversity thing comes from. It's like it is from like sometimes some white people who think they're doing good and it ends up pissing off everybody because they're like that's
yeah.
not what everybody really wants or whatever the case may be. So I and then even sometimes like white people, sometimes it's black people too who think that's what black people want or this is what
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. The diversity thing is just a really wonky thing to talk about in general. But this
I
is
think
I
my
think
point is like doing it this way is the
it's more
natural,
natural. Yeah.
organic way,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
that was my point too. Like this would be the more natural, organic way. Because I thought it was going to be pretty cool to see an actual Indian studio. Um, even
Mhm.
though like Persia is, I don't think Persia is in India, but like
No.
get it from that perspective of how they can make a Prince of Persia game or something of that nature.
Right. Right.
Or whatever the case may be, or if like we had a Middle Eastern studio make a Prince of Persia game, how would it be from their perspective, or whatever the case may be. Granted, Ubisoft does do a good job as far as like representing the
Yeah.
cultures
That is one
they're
of the
emulating.
positives of that company for sure. They
Yeah,
are very worldwide in terms of their
yeah,
development talent, for
for
sure.
sure. Yep. But yeah, I'm actually excited for it. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, me too. No, this is cool. No, I mean, I think to the people out there who like are tired of games the way they are, and the tropes and the tendencies and the stereotypes and all that. It's like, this is how we get out of that. Is start getting games from places that we never have before. Different ideas, like Montreal was saying, like different ideas, different concepts, just totally different, even like mythologies that we might be pulling from, or stories or religions and things like that that we don't normally like touch on here in the West. So yeah, no, I think it's exciting. This is cool. It's cool to see Sony doing this. I also think it's very intelligent of Sony to be doing this as well. Because they were doing this in India, that now here in Africa, the Middle East, like you were saying, and then Korea has been another big one, and China too. They've been trying to invest a lot there as well, and we're starting to see the fruits of that as well. With like Stellar Blade is a great example. It's another exclusive
Hmm.
coming to PlayStation. Is it's like you've got these games coming, and then like Black Myth Wukong coming out of China. Obviously we know the Hoyoverse stuff with like Genshin Impact. I mean, that's a fucking PlayStation exclusive too, and same with Honkai Star Rail. A console exclusive, I should say, for those games. But so yeah, they've been making a lot of investments, and I think this is how they're maintaining their dominance is in this way, where they're getting exclusives in places that Microsoft can't even approach. Like, dude, they're not, like, Microsoft's not getting a generally speaking, not wouldn't have gotten a Genshin Impact. Now, I will say they did get Pal World, right? So
Hmm.
there's an example, I guess in the opposite direction. So that makes sense that Sony would be doing this, and I'm sure Microsoft's doing it in some regard as well in certain places. But yeah, makes a lot of sense. All right, Montreal, let's move on. This is kind of our final story, and then we kind of have a topic we want to talk about. This one's a short one. Square Enix has announced that they are closing down Tokyo RPG Factory, which they had opened up in 2014 to make old school JRPGs. And they made 3 games: I Am Setsuna, Lost Sphere, and Oninaki. The only one I've played was I Am Setsuna. I was pretty bummed to see this news. When Square Enix announced this company, I think it was at E3, this studio that they were making. I was excited for it because it was just just showing Square at the time. This was 2014, mind you. At the time, was not really focused on old school stuff, old school style games. Really, very much. They were very much in their throes of like Western. We got to make Western style games, and all that shit. It was cool
Yeah,
to see this, um, and obviously Square's gone through a lot of transformation in the 10 years since, and they're kind of in a different place now. They don't need a company like Tokyo RPG Factory anymore, which is probably why they're closing it. But it is just a bummer because I Am Setsuna was a cool game. I like that game a lot.
I actually
Um,
didn't play this game. I actually never heard of this game until just now, and I'm
yeah,
upset that it's took inspiration from Chrono Trigger, which is one of my
yep,
favorite RPGs. So I'm
yep.
actually going to pick this up.
Yeah, I recommend everybody play it. It's a short game. It's a it's probably 20 or 30 hours. It's not very complicated. There like if you want to do everything in the game, it's not even that doesn't even take that long to do. And another thing I'll shout out with the game too is the soundtrack. Every single track in the game is piano. Um,
Mm.
so it's a very beautiful soundtrack. It's a really sad game though. I will say that, warn you guys up front on that, but definitely would recommend it. But yeah, I just wanted to shout this out because it is sad news because they were a cool team, but only made 3 games. It's interesting they haven't released anything in 5 years, so kind of makes me wonder like were they working on something and Square basically canceled it in this move? I would assume so, given that their first 3 games all came out within a 3-year period. But kind of makes you wonder: was this like there was no team here anymore? It was just like a company name, and they're just basically dissolving the company, and there hasn't been a team for a while. I don't know. That'd be interesting to note for sure. But yeah, I definitely recommend I Am Setsuna. I don't know anything about Lost Sphere or Oninaki though specifically. So all right. Montreal, anything else on that one?
Nope, that's it.
All right, moving on. So we're done with the news. Um, but you put something in our chat this week, an article that came out from Kotaku that is titled "Immortals of Avium proves it's a dark time for single player games," and it was an article written where they did some interviews with some devs that were on the team that got laid off. They were part of the layoffs. And some information came out about it, but conceptually, some of the things mentioned in here, I think you and I both kind of took issue with a little bit, especially the headline is just so so stupid,
It's a really clickbaity headline, and
very
it got people
clickbaity.
talking. Yeah, it
Yes.
got people talking. So
But one thing revealed out of this though was that the budget of the game was around 125 million for Immortals of Avium. And obviously this is a game that neither of us actually played ourselves. So but I have heard very positive things about the game itself.
me too.
In terms of
Yeah.
people who've played it. It's just that not very many people did play it. It did not sell well. Actually, sold horribly from what I understand, and obviously resulted in the layoffs. It happened. So, is there anything you want to specifically start with, like pick at here?
I, well, first, like I do agree with one thing the article mentioned, and we both agree to that off air. Is that newer IPs are significantly harder to come out the
Mhm.
gate to get new players to jump into.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's easier for multiplayer new IPs, but it is harder, in my opinion, for single player new IPs as well. So I definitely agree with that. But do I think that single player new IPs are going to die? I don't think so. I just
Mhm.
think you have to kind of plan your budget for marketing better, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the biggest form of marketing, in my experience, at least, for some of the most popular games, has been word of mouth. So you don't need that much. You just need to really make a good game, right? The
Yeah.
second thing is for this game, a lot of people always miss this point, and I don't know. I don't know if they do it to gaslight us or they do it for whatever reason. And this article didn't even mention it. Is the release schedule, the release window.
I was
This
gonna
game
mention this. Yeah.
yeah, this game released between Starfield and
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate, and
It was the same
yeah,
week that Armored Core
and
6 came out too.
Armored Core 6 as well. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. So Starfield came out a little bit later. I'm sorry, y'all,
It
but
was like a week. It was like a week or
it
two.
was a week, yeah. And then Baldur's Gate came out as well. So you have 3 games, both actually all sold well, by the way. How the fuck do you compete with that as a new IP? That
Right.
was a terrible window. And EA continues to this is not the first time they did it. Remember they did it with Titanfall. And that's why
Yeah.
we have Apex today because of how they just really fucked Titanfall. So
Titanfall 2 came out the same week as their Battlefield game. Their own
Exactly.
game. Their own game killed them in that case.
So, I I don't think EA knows what they're talking about, and I actually hate when like journalists, some journalists, I'm not going to say all, but some gaming journalists don't push back harder. Well, why did you release it between this window? That would have been an excellent
I know.
time to ask that question. Like,
Yeah,
why did
right.
you release it in this window? And
Right.
then the third thing for me, sorry, I just gotta get this off much. Third thing for me is why the fuck did this game cost $125 million to make? Um, I seen the game. I know it had some really good voice actors and mocap. My friend played it. He said he loved it. He said it was a decent game. It was like a 8, 7.5, 8 for him. Um, but guys, this was a level based game too, by the way. Um, Ghost of Tsushima cost $60 million to make.
Yeah.
I just don't understand where these bloated fucking budgets are coming from. Of course you're gonna fail. I'm sorry, like not to
Right.
be like, hyperbolic or negative or whatever the case may be, but you're gonna fail with that. Like that's too much money for a single player game. That's not even a remake. I can understand this is a remake or something like that, but it's like it's not even a known IP. This is a brand new IP. That's too much money into a brand new IP, in my opinion.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, it's I mean, yeah, it's too big of a budget. I mean, we've been talking about budgets, the ballooning budgets of AAA games on the show for a while now, right? And how it's a big problem. And this is just another example of that. To posit in the article that single player games, it's a grim time for single player games. Like it's so clickbaity. Like you literally talked about two single player games that were perfectly fine in the same three single player games actually in the same time frame as this came out that all sold millions of fucking copies. Baldur's Gate 3 was literally like probably the biggest fucking game last year, and it's a single player game. Now, obviously, not a new IP. None of those. Starfield's a new IP, but it's from established team. Obviously,
Yeah.
probably had a huge budget also. But I think did you mention Ghost of Tsushima? The budget for that game, like,
Oh yeah, 60
um,
million.
60 million for that game. New IP. Obviously, Sucker Punch was an established team, but they hadn't made a game and they hadn't released a game in 7 years since Infamous Second Son. So they had been long out of the spotlight in terms of releases, and that game did fucking great. It sold 10 million copies.
And
So
that's off word of mouth. Because you remember they advertised the
basically,
game. They didn't really
yeah,
advertise the
right.
game. And then the
They
times they
advertised it
did,
poorly. Remember?
yeah,
We
yeah.
were like completely, we were
That's
like
exactly what I'm gonna get
completely
to.
turned off the game, dude. Like, and then we played it and we're like, what the fuck were they doing, man? Like this game's incredible. It's like, so they almost worked against themselves in that regard, and the game still did fucking great, off word
Yep.
of mouth, Twitter, and everything. And it's like, I just don't think, I don't know. I mean, EA has a history of this, dude. Like, they have a history of kind of kneecapping their own games, And I just think this is another example of that. I don't think it has anything to do with it being single player. I think a new IP obviously does matter
Yeah,
here. Like
it does. It does.
that certainly does matter, and I do think the marketing for it was really bad. Um, they didn't make the game. They didn't really make the game look good. They just kind of made it look like a I don't know, like just
It
an
made it look like
action.
Call of
Like,
Duty with magic.
yeah, kind of. Yeah, no, really. And that was not the right way to take this. I feel like it clearly did not work. And it didn't make the game appealing to me or you, or anybody we know. I don't know a single person who's played Immortals of Avium, you know. And that's not good. That is not good,
Yeah, my friend
Um,
texted me while he was playing it, and I was playing Armored Core 6, and I'm just like, okay, bro, I don't care. Like,
mhm,
like it was
yeah,
no disrespect towards him, but it was just like I don't care, bro.
yeah,
I'm playing Armored Core 6 right now. Like
yeah,
I'm balls deep into this shit. And
yeah, right.
I don't know how you supposed to deal with that. Like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I mean, pushing the game back further is not great, obviously, because your budget is already 125 million. So you don't want to push it back even further and continue to balloon that cost, for a game that might not be worth it. So I don't know. Maybe it was just a rock and a hard place situation for EA and the studio. And they kind of just had to get it out at a certain point. But last year was rough, I think, for games like this. It was just such a heavy year for releases and big high profile releases. You know I just think it was destined for a game like this to fail, ultimately with the way they
Yeah.
showed it and what it was and everything like that. I don't
I,
know.
I, I also I think the price was just way. If it was like a $40 game, I think a lot of people would have picked it up.
Mm,
You know.
yeah, true. Right.
Um.
So I don't know, and I just think this article, I think it just misses the point. Is ultimately my problem is pinning it on that it's a single player game or it's a new IP or EA sucks and it's like all these factors matter to this conversation. Um, and boiling it down to one or two of them is just not really the analysis we need, I guess, from our games media. And I don't know. It's just what I've come to expect from them at this point. So
But they can't keep getting away with this. At some point, we have to hold gaming journalists accountable for like their bad articles, and I don't know how to do it. Like, I just feel like maybe other journalists should speak out on it. But I don't think Jason Schreier would ever like do that, because like some of these people are his friends.
yeah, right, dude. Yeah, he's got friends at Kotaku, so yeah, I doubt he would
Yeah,
do anything like that.
but I don't know, man. It is kind of annoying. It's just an annoying thing, and that's why I put the article in there because I just found it super fucking annoying that they
Mm-hmm.
just keep every time a single player game fails. You're like, see, guys, we tried to give you guys single player games and they just fail.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you fucking
Yeah.
kidding me? Persona 3 just came out this week, last week. Prince
Granblue
of Persia,
Fantasy Relink.
Final Fantasy Relink, fucking Prince of Persia just came out last a couple weeks ago, and that game's selling like hotcakes. Like these games are selling. These single player games are selling. Um, I don't know what world people think this is. Like, yes, those are established IPs, and everything of that nature. But it's like, if that's the case, you gotta bring it. You have to make a really good game. I'm sorry, like that. If you have
Right.
that much money, your game should be phenomenal. I don't know.
Right. I
When I
mean,
saw the game,
a budget that large shouldn't be making an 8, you know?
yeah, exactly.
Like it should be making it like it should be an extremely high quality game minimum, if you're talking anything over 100 million.
Yeah, like maybe put that less towards the mocap and voice actors and more towards the gameplay. I don't know.
Right.
Like
Or
I don't
less
know what
towards
you.
less towards the marketing. 40 million for marketing and your marketing was completely ineffective. Let's talk about that too. Like Jesus Christ, like a third of the game's budget was just wasted. Clearly had
Yeah,
no penetration whatsoever.
I do remember seeing like little like internet ads when I was, but everybody uses an ad blocker now, so no one was probably seeing that.
Right.
And I I don't know, man. Like you gotta the way to advertise is different now. You got to get streamers, you got to get people in front of the game, hands on and stuff like that. Or your game just has to be good enough to where it is carried on by word of mouth and it releases. Because you know what? I think Ghost of Tsushima had that advantage as well. It came out
Mm.
during a period where it was like the end of the almost the end of the PS4 era, and it wasn't the end of the PS4 era actually. And I don't think anything else was coming out around that time, and it was like the perfect window. And people were like, "I'm going to check this game out," and it just carried itself. And that's what you have to do. You have to plan that shit. And maybe that's what they need to start putting their money towards is like planning the release windows of these new IP single player games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I don't know. I don't really know what the answer is at this point. Like, I think the biggest thing is the budgets. Like, you just got to stop ballooning these budgets. Stop making the games like, dude, a game can be 15 hours. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, we don't need every game to be 45 hours, man. I think companies are just trying too hard to hit some mythical length number that they're afraid if they go underneath, they're gonna get fucking destroyed for. Um, but it's like I don't think I don't know. I think about the PS3 era. Like, there's a lot of games from that era that are so exceptionally well paced, and like I kind of miss that. Like Dead Space came out last year, remake, right? That's not a long game. The Uncharted games, those aren't long games. Those are weekend games, man. You beat them in a weekend, couple sessions.
Well,
You
what's
know,
interesting about this game is it is a 15 to 20 hour game.
man. But even still, some of the people in the article that were interviewed, they say that the game was still too large, like it was bloated, like it had too much content in it, like it drags on too long. And I can see that in a game that's purely single player, that's linear. 20 hours is a long time, dude. Like remember The Last of Us Part 2? That game was like 25 hours. And by the end of it, I think
Yeah,
most people were just like, end it, please, just end the game, you
yeah,
know? Like just
we were done, and I remember we talked about it too. The part where it did the time skip,
yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
it was Ellie, not it was Abby and the other person, and then they got captured, and we're like, dude, what? Like I gotta do this
Right.
part
And they're
too.
like starting a whole nother chapter of the game. I'm just like, what is happening here, man? Like, oh, like well, the first 20 hours weren't enough. Like, so yeah, I think if your game's 20 hours, you know, and your first time IP, like, dude, might be asking too much of people, you know? Like, man, pull it back a little bit. Charge $50, pull back, maybe get like a tight, like 12, 15 hour experience. And yeah, I don't know. That might have done the game some favors, and it would have saved you on cost, certainly, for sure, too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Something we'll continue to talk about though here on the show. All right, Montreal, that's all we got today. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go today?
Nope, that's it for me.
Alrighty then. All right, everybody. If you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01 at gmail.com. That'll be it for us this week, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next week.